Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Kita kembali bersiaran dalam edisi 7 Oktober 2022 bersama saya Azharin Alias dan rakan setugas saya.
Hi, I'm Sharon Kaur. Our topic for today is Budget 2022. This is a collaboration between the News Straits Times and Berita Harian. Therefore, it will be carried out in English and Bahasa Malaysia.
Pada jam 4 petang hari ini, bajet 2023 akan dibentangkan oleh Menteri Kewangan Yang Berhormat Senator Tengku Datuk Seri Utama Safrul Tengku Abdul Aziz. 4 agenda utama menjadi tumpuan pembentangan kali ini, iaitu kepentingan rakyat, perniagaan, ekonomi dan penyampaian perkhidmatan. Tumpuan kali ini adalah belanjawan pemulihan bagi menyokong usaha pembaharuan ekonomi lebih meluas dan menjangka masa panjang, merangkumi kos sara hidup, lonjakan harga barang dan kelangsungan hidup rakyat, terutamanya golongan B40 kerana ia adalah golongan yang paling terkesan akibat penularan COVID-19 selain daripada cabaran kos sara hidup yang semakin mencengkam.
The Malaysian economy is expected to continue the recovery momentum this year after witnessing a positive performance, especially the surge in the export market, with total exports exceeding 1 trillion within only the first 8 months of 2022. In fact, a report by the Malaysian Investment Development Authority shows that Malaysia has successfully attracted approved investments worth 123.3 billion in the primary sector, being manufacturing and services, including 1,714 projects from January to June this year. This strengthening of exports and investment is also reflected through the recovery of the labour market, with the unemployment rate at 4.1%, decreasing by 0.2 percentage points compared to the previous quarter. Therefore, the 2023 budget is seen as important to ensure that the growth momentum achieved in the first 10 months of this year can be continued for the benefit of the people. Before we introduce the panel for today, let's watch the VT.
Untuk bajet 2023, apa yang abang harapkan?
Apa yang kita harapkan?
Peralatan gadget ke apa ke yang memudahkan kita orang belajar lah.
Fasiliti kesihatan kita upgrade balik.
Mereka harus lebihkan pendidikan di luar bandar.
Cukai itu kalau boleh dikurangkanlah. Kuasa beli rakyat lebih mampulah.
Kelayakan tu kena sama rata.
Peruntukan lebih lagi kepada negeri Sarawak dan Sabah lah. Kami mengharapkan agar bajet untuk tahun ini melebih untuk negeri kami. Sebagai rakyat Sarawak, kami merasa kekurangan dari segi bajet untuk negeri Sarawak, untuk pembangunan.
Saya sebagai student berharap kerajaan akan bagi lebih banyak peruntukanlah untuk student, bagi sambungkan pelajaran diorang, menyediakan lebih banyak peluang pekerjaan kepada kami yang akan keluar nanti buat latihan industri.
Setiap tahun kita sebagai pekerja ni setiap tahun segelompok imbuhan bonus. Okey, kalau boleh imbuhan tax tu yang digunakan kepada bonus tu dapat dikurangkanlah, persentage dapat dikurangkan, dan pendidikan terhadap B40 ataupun T20 tu kemudian untuk anak-anak pelajar tu dapat dipertingkatkan.
Sekarang kita tahu B40 akan dapat banyak, so macam tak adil untuk M40 and T20 diorang dapat sikit. Kelayakan tu kena sama rata. Kita punya sekarang barang banyak naik tau, so tak adil kalau orang bagi perhatian hanya untuk B40. Kita layak kot sebab kita mengundi, kita duduk kat negara Malaysia. Kita bayar juga cukai apa semua, tapi kita punya hak tu macam tak sama rata.
Untuk kawalan harga lah saya rasa lebih. Contoh barang basah, dia punya kenaikan dia melampau sangat sebelum ni. Kita ramai yang orang terkesan. Untuk kenderaan, otomotif semua pun banyak benda-benda yang kita nampak simple tapi dia naik, makin naik.
Bukan nak cakap semuanya kita nak kena minta bantuan ke tak lah. At least barang tu kurangkan daripada harga mahal kan, murah sikit. Barang naik tapi gaji tetap sama juga. Kan, gaji pun naik sikit je.
Pendidikan penting, pendidikan amat penting. So fokus pada pendidikan setiap tahun saya tahu mesti meningkat kan. Itulah semestinya kena lebih meningkat lagi. Kalau nak utama ekonomi rakyat lah. Kuasa beli rakyat perlu lebih terjamin lah.
Saya harap ada voucher buku untuk membantu pelajar dan banyakkan lagi bantuan-bantuan kepada rakyat yang susah, sebab ialah sekarang inflasi tinggi, kemerlukan duit yang cukup lah untuk beli barang-barang semua dah naik. Bantu lagi B40 yang kekurangan duit.
Harap bajet yang terbaru ni yang akan datang pada bulan Oktober ni kebanyakan yang sebagai pengguna kita sebagai rakyat faham ni.
Ekonomi kita lagi untuk ekonomi kita lagi bagus lah.
Untuk masa depan generasi anak-anak kita.
Saya harap sangat pastikan Malaysia dan semua rakyat Malaysia ni mental dia tu kena ubah kepada yang lebih baik lah.
Alright, itu tadi sedikit sebanyak harapan dan impian rakyat dalam bajet 2023 yang akan dibentangkan pada petang ni. Jadi di studio pada hari ini saya bersama dengan dua orang tetamu, iaitu di sebelah kiri saya adalah penalisis ekonomi Universiti Kuala Lumpur Business School Profesor Maja Dr. Aimi Zuhasmi Abdul Rashid, dan di sebelah kanan Sharon adalah Profesor Ajung Tun Abdul Razak School of Governance Uni Razak yang juga fellow penyelidik kanan Universiti Malaya Dr. Zulkifli Omar. Selamat datang Dr. Zul dan juga Dr. Aimi ke program bajet 2023 NSTP. Okey Dr. Zul, saya terus kepada Dr. Zul. Suka atau tidak, sebab ramai yang mengatakan di luar sana, bajet kali ini disifatkan sebagai belanjawan pilihan raya. Apa komen Dr. Zul?
Okey, terima kasih. Sebenarnya kita tidak dapat dielakkan kerana bersempena timing pilihan raya. So apa-apa bajet pun tanggapan orang akan begitu. Tapi sebenarnya sama ada bajet pilihan raya atau bukan bajet pilihan raya, saya rasa dia, isu dia masih sama, iaitu di segi kesejahteraan rakyat yang terjejas dengan selepas COVID-19. Jadi maknanya walaupun tanpa pilihan raya, isu yang sama masih perlu ditangani.
What's your view on this, Dr. Aimi?
Hi Sharon, hi everyone. I think the budget, actually as Dr. Zul said, that is timely. When we are heading towards, even today we don't know, that maybe the general election, 15 of the country will happen this year or next year. Only that person knows. So whenever that we have any country in the world, any administration, whenever you have a budget during incoming election, then there is a lot of speculation about it's going to be a populist budget. This is whereby the current government is maybe taking advantage of their being in power, all right, to prepare a budget that will get more votes for them, ideally speaking. Right. So for me, this budget may be the biggest budget ever. I wouldn't know. We hope so. But whatever it is always in the interest of the country. So,
Dr. Zul, dalam bajet kali ini apa tumpuan yang perlu kita berikan, sebab kita maklum yang ruang fiskal kita terhad. So adakah kerajaan mampu untuk sediakan peruntukan bajet yang besar seperti Dr. Aimi cakap, the biggest budget ever maybe?
Secara umumnya tumpuan masih terhadap pemulihan ekonomi, sebab selepas post COVID-19 di mana ekonomi bukan sahaja Malaysia dan ekonomi dunia telah mula melalui fasa pemulihan. Jadi itu masih perlu diteruskan. Jadi pada masa yang sama juga pemulihan ekonomi itu dari segi memastikan mempunyai pertumbuhan ekonomi yang mampan, juga perlu ditekankan dari segi kesejahteraan rakyat yang terjejas, masih belum keluar sepenuhnya daripada kesan COVID-19. Dan pada masa yang sama juga kita perlu menghadapi tekanan ekonomi dunia yang juga tidak yang masih tidak tumbuh dengan pantas, masih perlahan. So itu memberi kesan kepada pertumbuhan ekonomi kita. So mana saya rasa tumpuan bajet pada tahun ini, tahun depan maksudnya, menghala kepada pertumbuhan domestik, sebab kita menghadapi pertumbuhan dunia yang tidak menentu, risiko yang masih tinggi, downside risk masih tidak menentu. Jadi tidak dapat dielakkan, kita mesti menumpukan kepada domestic growth, pertumbuhan domestik. Dan pertumbuhan domestik itu juga menekankan dari segi perbelanjaan swasta. Jadi sebab perbelanjaan swasta akan memberi bantuan kepada terutama golongan yang terjejas dengan pendapatan yang menurun. Jadi kalau mereka tidak mempunyai pendapatan yang mencukupi, jadi perbelanjaan tidak meningkat. Jadi bila perbelanjaan tidak meningkat, maka pertumbuhan ekonomi akan terjejas. Jadi saya rasa bajet mesti menumpukan pada itu je. Maknanya sambil memberi bantuan kepada golongan yang terjejas, tapi dari segi pertumbuhan ekonomi itu akan menjana pertumbuhan.
Jadi dia perlu jadi satu platform untuk negara bersedia harungi ramalan ribut ekonomi pada tahun hadapan untuk bajet kali ini.
Ribut ekonomi itu masih kita tidak pasti sebab risiko itu masih ada. Sebab itu walau bagaimanapun kita perlu menekankan pertumbuhan domestik. Sebab kalau kita terlampau mengharapkan kepada pertumbuhan ekonomi dunia, boleh jadi kita terpaksa mengharungi ribut ekonomi tersebut.
Dr. Aimi, top government officials including Datuk Seri Mustafa Mohamad have said that the 2023 budget will continue to focus on strengthening the momentum of the country's economic recovery and generating sustainable growth in the long term. How can this be carried out?
Well, good questions. As we are concerned about the momentum of our domestic economy for next year, on the back of the global economic situation that we're going to face, it's going to be a challenging. Everybody is talking about it's going to be a challenging year in 2023. When the government says that, well, of course, at least we know the direction. That means also that we are not going to have a budget that is shrinking, but it's an expensive budget. It's going to be expended. There's a lot more money to be put into the system. So this is the fiscal policy being adopting by the government for this budget. And it's very interesting because you compare that to the monetary policy by Bank Negara. So you can see we don't want to become another UK, whereby when we had in UK, we had the monetary policy and the fiscal policy clash, and immediately the pound sterling went down. Yeah. After that, they reversed the decision. Then after that, something happened. So it's very interesting to see the budget, what we are spending in the budget. How is it? Will be in tandem, yeah, with the monetary policy of Bank Negara, or is this fiscal policy going to backfire to our economy? So if the government is looking at strengthening the economy, yes, we need to strengthen our domestic economy. But if the cost of fund is high, how can the private investors invest and further expand? And we also have already some data about unemployment. Some companies already, start employing people, even ask people to leave, because they're expecting next year going to be a very bad year. So we need as Dr. Zul said, we need a very strong domestic economy to carry. But at the same time, we need to balance it with the cost of funds. The cost of funds is coming up. So we don't know. So that is very interesting to expect in this going to be maybe the biggest budget ever.
You're right. Yeah.
Mungkin Dr. Zul boleh tambah sikit, apa itu pertumbuhan domestik dalam bahasa yang mudah untuk orang faham?
Pertumbuhan domestik ini maknanya kita bergantung kepada perbelanjaan swasta dan juga pelaburan dalam negeri. Sebenarnya dia kurang kebergantungan kepada ekspor. Jadi ekspor, sebab kita tahu keadaan demand permintaan di seluruh dunia pun masih lembab. Jadi kalau kita bergantung kepada ekspor untuk menjana pertumbuhan, maka mempunyai risiko downside.
So dia boleh membantu untuk kita kekang impak peningkatan kos sara hidup dengan lonjakan harga barang dan sebagainya, sebab kita banyak ekspor, kita banyak import daripada negara luar dengan kejatuhan ringgit dan sebagainya. So ia pertumbuhan domestik boleh membantu mengekang impak peningkatan kos sara hidup.
Peningkatan kos sara hidup ini saya rasa mesti ditangani melalui peningkatan perbelanjaan boleh guna pengguna. Kalau walaupun kalau harga barang tak meningkat sekalipun, inflasi rendah, tapi pendapatan boleh guna tidak meningkat, masih perbelanjaan pengguna masih tidak mampu untuk berbelanja. Jadi tujuan utama mesti meningkatkan pendapatan boleh guna pengguna.
Doctor, I've got several questions for you related to Malaysia's economy.
Okay.
To begin with, the country's economy is set for a stronger growth this year, probably expanding by more than 6%. Will it be a different story in 2023? And can we expect the management of the country's economy to be more challenging next year? And what is your expectation of the GDP growth for 2023? Would it be right to speculate the growth to be below 6%?
Okay. This year, so far, we have a good momentum from Q1 to Q3. I would like to say this also contributed by the lower base of 2021. That's why we recorded a real growth for 2022. For me, is actually in the Q4. Why? Because the base was actually in Q4 last year, and we started opening up our interstate travelling in 10th of October last year. So, nevertheless, the economy has been booming, especially we had 8.9% in Q2 this year, with the EPF money, and then we open our international borders, especially from Singapore. Singaporeans can come, and everybody now are welcome to our countries, in our country. And then next year, Sharon, it will be challenging because the number one, statistically speaking, the base is higher compared to this year. Okay. In fact, during the pandemic, our economy was carried by, I would say, three or four main sectors. One is the EE, because the EE, there was a lot of demand for semiconductors and chips during that. And then, secondly, was of course, the rubber gloves, and thirdly is the crude palm oil, and then the oil price, which actually shot up early or late last year. But going forward, all these four items are actually the demand is declining, and we have the reports data that the chips, the demand for chips now slowing down because the world is heading into this recession. Nobody knows, but the order is declining. The production index, the manufacturing index already indicated that in Q3. Then we have the crude palm oil price. We used to be like 6,000 ringgit, right? Now it's like below 4,000 or around 4,000 ringgit. And then the rubber gloves, you know what happened, right? And the oil price, it shot up 120 now. It's like 80 or 90. OPEC just I think they're going to cut down production. I think yesterday they made the announcement. So all this actually going into 2023 with a lot of challenges to the economy. Okay, and if we have to expect the worst, but we have to hope for the best. So basically, the budget must be designed as such. It has to make us ready. So I would say here the biggest budget, because there are two prongs, two things that they need to address. One is revival, pemulihan, revival the economy. Secondly, next year, be prepared, for the headwinds, for the typhoon coming in, and hopefully things will look up for better.
So in your opinion, that things will be better next year for Malaysia?
If we are really prepared, that's why I said earlier, if the domestic economy going to be revived, to be helped out, the cost of fund cannot be so high. So that's why I'm looking at the fiscal policy balance with the monetary policy of the negara. How is it going to bring the domestic economy to be the catalyst, of the overall economy when the export market is coming down? So that is the main issue. So maybe the growth of next year, as your last question to me, will be lower than 6%. Realistically speaking, even the World Bank is saying lower. Lower. Number one is because statistically speaking, it's a higher base this year.
Dr. Zul setuju? Sebab sektor-sektor E&E dan permintaan semakin menurun. So adakah kita punya prestasi tahun KDNK tahun depan akan masih lagi berdaya saing ataupun macam mana?
Masih berdaya saing, tapi seperti yang saya sebut awal tadi, menghadapi downside risk yang tinggi lah, sebab kita cuma mengharapkan domestik ekonomi yang menjana pertumbuhan. Jadi kita tidak boleh mengharapkan sektor luar ekspor akan berkembang dengan pesat.
So kita perlu mencari satu lagi mekanisme sektor baru ataupun tidak boleh bergantung kepada E&E, palm oil, petroleum dah.
No, saya tak fikir begitu sebab isu dia adalah sektor-sektor yang ada sekarang ni across the board lah kita masih menghadapi struktural kelemahan struktur. Jadi yang perlu ditingkatkan kepada semua industri adalah peningkatan nilai tambah, value added. So sekarang ni kebanyakan industri termasuk E&E. Walaupun E&E kita di segi ekspor tu boleh jadi hampir setengah kan. Ekspor kita adalah E&E. Tapi nilai tambahnya kecil. Jadi walaupun nilai ekspor itu tinggi tapi yang menjana pertumbuhan ekonomi itu kecil. Jadi sekarang ni instead of kita nak cari industri baru, saya rasa lebih relevan atau lebih bijak lah sekiranya kita meningkatkan nilai tambah kepada industri yang sedia ada. Mana dia perlu meningkatkan inovasi, R&D kena ditingkatkan, teknologi yang lebih berintensifkan skill inovasi, dan pada masa yang sama boleh menjana pekerjaan untuk kita punya graduate yang kan sekarang ni kita mengalami isu graduate unemployment kan. Jadi pelajar-pelajar keluar dari universiti tak ada kerja sebab tak ada kerja yang ditawarkan yang memerlukan skill yang mereka ada, sebab kebanyakan industri kita masih menumpukan kepada buruh labor intensif kan, intensifkan buruh.
So maknanya selain pekerjaan yang semakin meruncing ni, salah satu faktor lain adalah perumahan. So adakah dalam bajet 2023 kali ini kerajaan perlu ada satu inisiatif untuk rakyat memiliki rumah dengan lebih mudah ataupun macam mana? Sebab isu perumahan ni bukan baru, dia dah berlarutan selama bertahun-tahun.
Yalah, itu saya rasa nak komen ini pun boleh jadi unfair lah, sebab sebenarnya bagi saya isu perumahan ni yang penting sekarang untuk masyarakat adalah pendapatan boleh guna. Jadi perumahan ni kalau dari segi ekonomi itu orang memerlukan shelter kan, walaupun tak ada rumah tapi ada shelter. Tapi kalau sekiranya kebanyakan pendapatan disalurkan kepada untuk memiliki rumah tapi mempunyai perbelanjaan boleh guna yang kecil, tak ada faedahnya, tak ada maknanya. So lebih baik menumpukan kepada peningkatan pendapatan. Jadi isu rumah ni saya ingat perlu ditangani dengan lebih bijaklah, sebab boleh jadi kita tidak perlu menekankan pemilikan rumah tu sangat. Yang pentingnya mempunyai shelter dan kos shelter tu tidak tinggi. Jadi kalau pendapatan boleh gunakan meningkat, sebab sekarang ni cuba lihat boleh jadi saya tak tahu hampir setengah kot pendapatan pergi kepada perumahan, kemudian transportation. Jadi yang tinggal sikit jadi untuk makanan lagi, kemudian untuk anak-anak sekolah. Jadi pendapatan boleh guna itu makin berkurangan. Jadi kalau saya rasa terutama dalam situasi sekarang ni kita nak tekan kepada pemilikan rumah, bagi saya lah boleh jadi orang tak setuju, tapi saya tak sesuai lah.
Doctor, I've got a question on the Malaysian ringgit. In your opinion, okay, how crucial is the ringgit's performance for the 2023 budget? And will the weakening of the currency hamper the government's economic recovery efforts moving forward?
Yeah, okay. Currency is always a concern, and the party is responsible to is of course Bank Negara with the monetary policies and maintaining the ringgit Malaysia against other currencies, vice versa. What I'm trying to say here is very important. At the moment, people will say that, well, ringgit is sliding. I think there was one of the area that in May I already projected ringgit going to touch 4.5. Now it's sliding more than that. So in May. So what happened is now, we just cannot let ringgit follow the market. Okay? But you cannot blame the government as well, because this is a global phenomena. All other countries, of course, you can compare our currency. We say people compare us to Sing dollars, you know, and how far we fall behind Sing dollars. You know, you have to understand Singapore has different strategy. They have a bigger reserve than us. They have over 300 billion, whereas we have about 100 billion. So they have their own strategy, and they are a trading nation, whereas we are exporting country. So it's very important that we have. The important thing is ringgit need to be stabilized. No matter, some people say, well, Bank Negara increased the OPR and still ringgit decline, and then still the stock market, Bursa Malaysia, so you know, decline now 1,400 points from 1,600 points early this year, blah blah blah.
Right.
But not to say that things going to we just wait for things just to go like that. That the market determines the flow. We have to somehow come in and do something proactively. Okay, at least to stabilize, because businesses, you know, just like if you say that now it's $4.50, talk about petrol price. You know, the oil price now is going by $80 or $90.
Right.
Yeah, it was $7, but that time it was only RM4. Now it's $4.50 or even RM5. So RM1 difference for oil price. That's why people are saying, why the oil price, crude oil price has came down, but yet, you know, we don't see much changes.
Right.
Yeah, of course, you look at around 97, right? So this have an impact, especially if we're going to talk about targeted subsidy.
Yes.
So this is what area that I'm looking at, you know, actively for this budget. How is the government going to look at it after we had 80 billion ringgit budget for subsidy blown from 31 billion to 80 billion. So is it attributed to ringgit, you know, because we also are importing oil. So if there is a change, so a lot of factors, macro, micro, will have an impact on the economy. So the whole value chain actually affected. The food, talk about food, you know, it had increased from 55 billion import food to 63 billion. The food price on the street has increased. You go out, you know, talk the restaurant, teh or ice, how much now? Yeah, it's about 2 ringgit. Used to be 1 ringgit, 1 ringgit 20 cents. Now it's 2 ringgit. Teh tarik, you know, has gone up so much. So we are the producer of palm oil, but yet, you know, things like that happen. So it's very crucial if we're going to have a good economy. The cost of fund, as I said, and also the currency. You know, we have to the long term, like Doctor said, we have to look at the structure of the economy in the long term. But the short term, we have to do something. Not letting the ringgit, because it's very crucial. That is the balancing factor.
Right. Please,
I think we shouldn't worry too much on the short-term fluctuation of ringgit, because this is again you have to remember that all the currencies are a factor in the world. But more important, because the currency is just a medium of exchange. When we be going up and down, depend on supply and demand. Because when the demand for our product decrease, then demand for ringgit decrease, then the price will go down. So more important, I think during this stage, we should strengthen the fundamental, our economic structure. If you correct the structure, then in the long run, we see ringgit definitely we coming back. You know, so the short-term fluctuation is there. Of course, we need to just stabilize it using the monetary policy just to stabilize the short term. But we need to address the long term. That is none other. You have to correct your structure for future growth.
Sebab semalam pun Menteri Kewangan dalam Parlimen ada menyatakan negara tidak berada dalam krisis nilai mata wang ringgit biarpun ia dalam keadaan melemah berbanding dolar Amerika Syarikat. So maknanya kita masih lagi belum dalam krisis ringgit ketika ini.
Kita perlu risau, saya masih tekan kena risau di segi struktur ekonomi, perbetulkan struktur ekonomi. Bila struktur dah betul dan pertumbuhan kita lebih rancak, lebih mampan, dan secara automatically ringgit, ada nilai ringgit, permintaan untuk ringgit meningkat dan nilai akan meningkat. Boleh jadi pada masa ringgit lemah, apa yang kita perlu buat, Bila itu there's blessing in disguise lah, sebab permintaan dunia pun untuk ekspor kita menurun sebab apa ekonomi dunia lemah, tetapi nilai ringgit yang lemah akan membantu boosting ekspor. Sebab barang ekspor akan menjadi lebih murah daripada untuk apa kita punya importer kan. So boleh jadi kita take advantage dari situ lah.
But it is very interesting point. Very interesting point because talking about the ringgit, right? I still feel we have our ringgit has been sliding since March, when the Federal Reserve increased, starting increase from 0 to current now 3% or 3.25%, going to increase further. They say going to be 4.6%. So we have to the influx of money out of the country will be more. In a way, the government should be looking at a committee. Now we have so many committees, but a strategy how to handle this. Now it's all left to Bank Negara alone. Things that we can do in short terms also. We need to, for example, let's sign an agreement with other countries, exchange, use other currencies. Maybe through a government agency we have barter trades, things like that to reduce the pressure on ringgit. Because if we just let the ringgit and we just continue to follow the ringgit, to allow the ringgit to follow the just like other currencies, we may end up more than 5 this year. So as Doctor said, yes, structurally we need to correct our economy, but I think it has been almost going to be 1 year. Now it's already 10 months with the budget. We really need to have a good tool of how we're going to stabilize business. They need stability. When things like pricing today, you order something one container, say 20,000. Next order it will be 25,000. So that kind of thing. Even you buy banana, one container, Sharon. You buy banana, then you go buy a pisang tanduk at at a grocery shop. The price will increase. So and of course there are things that are stabilized, even rice. So these are the things. It will not, but it will have an impact, especially when the festival come. Deepavali fast coming, Christmas fast coming, Chinese New Year fast coming. The demand, you will see. Then you have a problem on that also. So you have to do something about that. People are crying on the street.
Bila people are crying apa semua, so perlu ke bantuan tunai diteruskan?
Ya, saya rasa definitely ini isu yang sangat penting lah. Sebab bantuan tunai ini kita tak boleh elakkan. Terutama sekali saya rasa lah, kalau boleh saya sebut subsidi juga. Sebab subsidi sekarang kita bergantung kepada subsidi yang tinggi. Empirical evidence, banyak study daripada banyak ekonomi, banyak country di mana subsidi adalah second best policy, mana dia tidak akan terutama di segi pengagihan income country. Kalau ekonomi tumbuh dengan tinggi tapi tidak diagihkan sama rata, bukan sama rata mana sama banyak, tapi makna semua orang dapat rasa dari segi ini. Jadi kalau gunakan subsidi adalah pengagihan tidak berapa efektif, dan income cash transfer secara tunai itu lebih efektif. So makna dia instead of subsidi, cash transfer lebih efektif kalau dari sudut pengagihan kekayaan negara. So itu memang empirical evidence semua menunjukkan ke arah itu. Seluruh dunia begitu. So mana kita tak perlu memikirkan jalan susah lah, itu jalan yang paling senang sekali.
Can I add to that?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. There are many ways in the world, many countries how they disburse the subsidy. Either like Doctor said, the cash transfer. Even the states, they use food coupons. In UK and European countries they do that. But for me again, no matter what, now talking about using e-wallet, we go to kampung, how they're going to use e-wallet, that kind of thing, and then with the digital divide that we have in the country, especially in the rural areas, But for me, whenever we want to do subsidy, it always must be a two-way system. You cannot just give, and you don't know. You give, for example, you give your children maybe 5 ringgit. Is it enough? You don't know. You think it's enough. But because different family have different kind of expenses, operational expenditure. A family may have 2 cars, another family just bikes, but maybe have 5 motorbikes. Just you're talking about petrol subsidy here. And then maybe some family, they for electrical supply, everybody like 8 people living in one flats of 2 bedrooms. But if you go to like a big house, a bungalow, maybe just 2 people living in that house. So the demand totally different. You have to know your people, not your client, your people. You know, your subject. You know, so it must be a two-way kind of system. And with the technology that we have, you must be able, wherever government delivered, the government must know how much it been used, and is it enough or not. So therefore, then only then we can have an effective subsidy system.
Okay, continue from.
Yes, please.
English ke Melayu? I mean, because quite interesting point, subsidy. Because now the issue, of course, this issue will come up later, I believe, that the government finances, how much money government have. Then talking about cash transfer, we spend a lot of money for subsidy. We spend a lot of money on cash transfer, but I think not many people asking question on the effectiveness. It's not very effective in terms of distributing wealth to the people. So therefore, we need to relook into that. I think that the source of income, especially now the government is lacking in terms of revenue because of tax. You cannot increase tax during downturn. During the weak economic situation, you cannot increase tax. So the source of revenue, if you can improve on the efficiency of the process, transfer the current transfer, for example, we having problem a lot of wastage. For example, cash handover, maybe the government spend 10 or to 20% on administrative costs. Why administrative costs? Because the process now we use the system, the so-called means tested. Meaning you have to justify that you are qualified. Then people have to apply. When you apply, then people have to check. You go check whether you are qualified or not. You have a car or not. You have a cable TV or not. You have Astro or not. Then all the things. It costs money to do that. So therefore, we need to move from the system but means tested. We have to do a better way. For example, using wealth tested. So meaning the government, you just testify the application by looking at the wealth of the people. How do you know that? Then the data, you should have a good data. The government should have better data, one-stop center. After all, we are talking about digitalization. When people apply, then push button, you know that people qualify or not. You don't have to spend on the administrative cost to go and check here and there. So that you save money there and more effective. And the subsidy the same also. For the subsidy, if you bersasar, for example, kita dengar subsidi bersasar ni berapa lama sudah kan. Tapi the mechanism tu, how you want to do that? You want to check who is supposed to get it or not. It's difficult because you have to incur a lot of administrative costs. So rather than doing that, might as well you give money to them. And then the price, whatever price, if talking about price subsidy, just like the market decide the price, the poor people, the rich people, they pay the same price, but the poor people, you give cash to them to compensate what the price. That's more effective. You don't have to go check whether you qualify or not. Only at the point you certify that they are qualified, that's it. Not the point that they have to, when they are buying, you have to painstakingly check whether you are rich or poor, So that is, I think, a source of income for the government in terms of saving, in minimizing the administrative cost.
Maknanya kalau cash transfer tu, mungkin Dr. Taimi boleh jawab. Cash transfer tu dia akan mengurangkan kos subsidi macam sekarang ni hampir 80 bilion subsidi ditanggung oleh kerajaan. Jika kita lakukan mekanisme yang lain sebagai cash transfer, dia akan boleh membantu.
Dia akan boleh membantu. Tetapi apa pun, kalau kita nak buat sesuatu sistem pun, dia mesti ada sistem yang kita install ni. Kita mesti ada capital expenditure. kita kena spend money untuk set up. That one should be an one-off thing dan maintenance. Dan kalau kita nak bagi cash transfernya, kita harus ada mekanisme yang betul lah.
Right, yeah.
Jadi macam doktor cakap tadi betul, bagi kebanyakan dari segi operational banyak kita waste a lot of money. 10-20% just gone like that. Tapi how we are going to kita nak menggunakan ni secara lebih efektif, kalau boleh kita kena teknologi. Kita cerita pasal 4G, kita cerita pasal 5G, kita cerita pasal digital economy dan sebagainya kan. Itu antara yang kita tengok dari segi implementasinya masih manual, masih bagi secara pukal dan sebagainya. Ini yang saya rasakan it be a test lah. Contohlah saya bagi contoh, katalah kita nak bagi subsidi melalui petrol pump lah, stesen minyak. Kita nak bagi macam mana kita nak monitor? Perlukah stesen minyak tu ada pula satu orang yang monitor, duduk kat situ monitor? Siapa nak tanggung dia punya sistem kos? Siapa nak tanggung dia punya gaji dia? Kan? You ada berapa? 3,000 stesen ke 10,000 stesen ke satu Malaysia petrol pump. So benda-benda praktikal ni kena fikir. Of course, kalau kita boleh buat stages by stages, that will be very good. We need pilot test. We need pilot dulu baru buat, and then baru kita launch. Jangan kita buat dulu, lepas tu, dan kita ada masalah, kita cancel that way kan. That's not good. Because we already wasted a lot of money, a lot of time. Kan? Tapi itulah kalau whatever macam saya cakap tadi, doktor cakap tadi, ada banyak mekanisme. Nak pakai food coupon ke, nak pakai cash transfer ke, nak pakai e-wallet ke, apa pun kita mesti ada a real plan.
Tapi macam Dr. Zul, ramai yang bercakap analisis luar kata, kalau kita masih ada lagi subsidi, kita masih ada lagi tu, our inflasi tu dia bukan the real inflasi punya number. So adakah subsidi ni kita perlu tukar ni boleh mendapat satu nombor inflasi yang tepat atau macam mana?
Itu sebenarnya bukan isu itu yang macam saya tekankan tadi. Sebenarnya subsidi ni dia second best policy dari segi pengagihan kekayaan, pengagihan wealth kepada masyarakat. Jadi kalau kita gunakan subsidi, dia akan tidak memberi faedah yang besar dari segi pengagihan kan. So lebih baik kita gunakan mekanisme yang lebih memberi kesan kepada masyarakat umum. Jadi dari segi harga dia itu isu lain. Mana dia inflasi itu apa faktor yang mengaruhi inflasi, sama ada subsidi tak ada subsidi, itu isu lain. Tapi subsidi ini cuma kita nak untuk pengagihan pendapatan kekayaan negara tu. Di segi mikro, sebab kita kalau ekonomi tumbuh tapi masyarakat tidak menerima manfaatnya, tak ada faedahnya. Sebab subsidi itu salah satu cara bagaimana untuk mengagihan kekayaan itu.
Sebenarnya targeted subsidy is not the right time to do the targeted subsidy now.
It's not. I don't think it's not the right time, but it is not efficient. Mana we have to take to accept the fact lah. Mana kalau kita nak untuk jangka panjang, kalau kita terus menerus membuat cara yang tak efisien, dia memberi kesan kepada mana kita ekonomi tumbuh tapi kita pembaziran banyak. Jadi kesan kepada masyarakat umum dari segi kekayaan tu tak tercapai sebab kita membazir banyak.
Doctor, I've got another question for you. Okay, the World Bank recently warned that focusing on just headline growth figures would lull Malaysia into a false sense of complacency, and that it matters how growth was generated and shared. This was in view that 70% of lower income households couldn't even meet monthly basic needs with food inflation being above 7%. What is your take on this?
Yeah, what the World Bank said is true. This is what I already discussed earlier with Dr. Zul. This is the micro basis. All the micro numbers are good. Export driven, export surplus, blah blah, trade surplus. We are looking good. Economy is booming. GDP is 5%, 6%. But then when we look at the microeconomics, we look at the micro whereby we look at people on the street, as just you mentioned, we can see they are having a problem. To adjust to the pressure of cost of living. and also the pressure of what do you call that, maintaining the lifestyle, especially the M40. Talk about B40 trying to live within their means, but the M40 want to have a lifestyle that they used to have. Maybe we have like 3-4 cars. Now they have to cut down, things like that. So what the World Bank is true, say is true, but again, as I quote Dr. Zul, we really need to look at the structure of the economy. It's not a flick of a thumb that everything will be settled. No, you need a long-term plan.
Right.
We have the RMK 12, the 12 Nation Plan, how to go about on this, and then we have a clear target. But in terms of key performance indicators, the KPIs, we need to really go down to the level, well, on the micro, by state, by district, by kampong, by school, whatever area there is, to tackle all this problem. Again, goes back to the subsidy. It's not something. It's not a solution forever. I like to quote from Datuk Seri Mustafa Muhammad. He said that without the subsidy from government, the inflation is 11%. Imagine 11%, we are the highest in Southeast Asia. But without it, now we can see about 4%, 5% for the food is more than that. Imagine without the subsidy. So how can the people live? You just cannot take it out. And then the whole thing just like, okay, we have a new world, we call a reset. A reset, and then how about people in the village area, people who are old people, single mother, you don't have a proper income, just basically selling nasi lemak, and so on. So we need to go down to the economic structure, solve it. Again, not a flick, but it must be a long term and sustainable to change the structure of the economy.
Tapi bukan mudah untuk tukar.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. Saying is easy, but doing it is another thing. Implementing it is another thing. So we need to have a proper way to do it. Get the plan out, strategic plan out, and then get also the support from all the stakeholders, because you need the cooperation for them. You just have plan, but they don't support you.
Right.
But we can see, definitely we can see it's not easy to do, but we can see the implication already, because this is long term. After our industrialization era of 90s, we can see growth very high. Now all the data pointing to the weakness of the structure. I'm talking about productivity. Our productivity growth is very low.
That's right.
So why productivity growth low? Because of the economic structure. You have to correct that. If we don't correct that, then we cannot see anymore that what we have seen high economic growth in the past. We cannot increase production by just increasing labor, because we don't have enough labor. We have to import labor. How you want to increase production? You have to have better technology, more better capital. So there is a change of structure. So itu kena tak ada jalan lain lah kena buat. Tapi walaupun kena buat, walaupun kalau tak buat itu, kesan dia bukan sahaja pertumbuhan ekonomi akan menjadi perlahan. Kesan dia lihat sekarang, graduate unemployment, itu adalah kesan dari situ. Kenapa graduate unemployment berlaku?
Underemployment lagi, doktor.
Underemployment lagi. Kerja,
underemployment.
Bayangkan kita punya pertumbuhan ekonomi, not creating job. Ekonomi tumbuh tapi tak ada job. So what people will do?
Kerajaan perlu tumpu kepada golongan muda lah. Golongan muda, golongan graduan.
Jadi kita selalunya orang berpandangan sebab apa graduan tak dapat kerja, kerana dia orang tak qualify, skill tak cukup. Sebenarnya kerja tak ada. Kalau kerja tak ada, dia nak praktis skill dia pun tak boleh. Jadi kalau baru graduate engineer takkan kita expect baru graduate nak perform macam senior engineer. Dia kena praktis dulu, tapi nak praktis pun tak boleh, tak ada kerja. So this is
that one, doctor. I nak share one statistic on that particular skill. Last year, 2021, about 230,000 graduates from all the universities in Malaysia and overseas came back, but only 23,000 skills job created.
Okay.
So mana dia orang pergi?
Yes, 10%.
10%.
Mana dia orang pergi?
Unemployed.
Oh, they go out.
They
brain
go
drain.
to
We have
work
to
with their
issue
fast
brain
food
drain.
joint.
Right.
Yeah.
Going
So that's the reality. So
Right, yeah.
something must be done. But for me, looking at how to resign, there are successful countries in the world, for example, who are actually same with us in the 80s. Example, Taiwan,
Okay.
South Korea. Look how far they are ahead of us now. Yeah, we can basically copy paste lah. Like what people say there. What people always say now is we can look at the structure. They are driven by technology, driven by IT. They have key, like they have Samsung, they have Acer. We can do the same thing. What we have, I'm sorry to say, we have multinationals, but we are driven by commodities. We are driven by oil. We are driven by palm oil. We are not driven by technology. So that's why it doesn't help the country. Last time, yes, it may be the good area, but we always say, bring the FDI. The FDI are going to do all the technology transfer. But who on earth going to come here and do technology transfers? They know this is their patent. It's not something that they wanted to share with us. No way.
Okay. Right.
So we have to develop our own R&D. Just like what happened to Korea, what happened to Taiwan. They develop their own. No matter they do and copy and paste too that time. You look at
Japan did that.
Japan did the same thing.
Right.
Look at Toyota how they started. Look at Kia how they started. They were worse than our Proton.
Right. Yeah.
But look at their cars now. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying there's a way to it. It's a long way, but you have to look it positively, and there are already examples in the world how to go about.
Okay. Doctor, I've got a question on tax policy now. Okay.
All tough questions from Sharon.
Okay, how can tax policy tools accelerate economic recovery? In other words, how can the government strengthen its tax administration, bearing in mind that tax reforms to boost revenue are politically challenging?
Oh yeah, talk about GST. Implementing again. Yes, we agree that whatever government spend, every year we're gonna hear like today at 4 o'clock we're gonna hear about the budget. So always we listen from the government how much our income, how the government going to spend so and so. Okay, this year going to be maybe, how to. So where is the increase in the projected income if the country is just going, what do you call that, improvement, in economy, they are just rehabilitate and things like that. So there are questions about GST be introduced in the market because we had the GST. I don't think it's going to be introduced this budget because of the EGE coming, so it's not a populist move. But I think it would happen in the future. All right. But again, we had the GST. What was wrong with the previous GST? For me, number one, the rate was too high. Number two, the process, of collecting and rebate was inefficient. You need to improve these two, and maybe you start lower it and then gradually go up. Every country in the world is doing like that. Singapore, VAT is what, 9%. So it can be done, but it's very efficient. The moment you underpaid or overpaid, the penalty is so huge in Malaysia, and businesses still crying, and then somehow they are going to recover all these issues. So tax, it is one way, to increase the income, but I don't want to say this. The budget also is always about the profit and loss. The profit coming in and how much is going to be spent. It's not a good way to describe it. Okay, it's not like a company. It's a profit, and it's a profit that the revenue the government gets and how they're going to spend on the people and the country. But the other thing what you don't see much is the balance sheet of the country. We have many assets. There are many assets yet to be exploited. And being a country with blessed with so much natural resources, then we need to look at it. How are we going to improve? Not just exporting our bauxite, our tin and all this. How are we going to make it a value-added products, operated by our people, operated by our companies, GLCs or state companies or even SMEs? How to make money and bring back that money to Malaysia?
Can I add? Because
interesting point.
Interesting because about politically challenging, you say. Yes. I will say this, it is politically unjustifiable if we don't do that. because we want to be developed countries or high income nation. Look at high income nation, how much they collect tax. Our tax collection is only about 10-11% of GDP. Most developed countries 20-30% of GDP. So if you don't collect, government don't collect enough tax, where you get the money to distribute to people? And we have problem of cash handover, not enough money. Orang tua, the retired people from my analysis, about 50% of retired people have no income. Then where do they will get income? They depend on income transfer from the government, cash transfer. If government do not collect enough tax, then how to transfer to them? Then we have economic growth, but people are suffering down there because not enough money. So what is the point of growth? Therefore, they need to collect tax. There's no two way about it.
Maybe like Scandinavian countries.
You pay a big tax, but you
tax.
get a benefit. So our choice, you want to benefit or not? You want to live miserably or you want to live happily, provided by the government? Then you have to pay tax.
So maknanya pelepasan cukai, insentif cukai tidak perlu lagi dalam bajet 2023 kali ni.
Ya, sekarang ni isu dia sekarang ni boleh jadi masa yang tak sesuai untuk mengenakan cukai. Sebab tu kalau talking about how government to increase revenue, but I mentioned just earlier kan, increase efficiency. Sekarang ni we have Dr. mentioned just now efficiency in terms of tax collection. We have to improve on that. I think if you can improve on tax collection, because we have leakages, our tax system is not progressive enough. Some rich people they don't pay enough tax. Then we need to improve on that. So that there's a lot of room to be improved. So meaning we don't have to worry about future that much, because you correct, you repair your house now, you can get a lot of benefit there without worrying what is a new source of growth. Correct this one first.
Kita perlu ke dasar balik, betulkan balik.
Ya,
betul kan? Betul. Alright, kita dah 1 jam bersiaran dah ni. So mungkin saya bermula dengan Dr. Zul dulu.
Okay.
Mungkin secara rumusan, your wish list, your punya harapan dalam bajet 2023 kali ini, apa tumpuan kerajaan seharusnya perlu berikan?
Harapan, ini cuma harapan, bukan fokus. Harapan, my expectation. Saya dah mention banyak kali, masih berkenaan dengan distribution, mana dia pengagihan pendapatan kekayaan negara kepada orang ramai. Jadi saya ingin sentuh dari sudut social security. Social security sekarang ni kita bukan saja tak standing dengan negara maju, bahkan negara yang sama taraf dengan kita atau yang lebih, kalau kita masih ke belakang dari segi social security. Maknanya dia tidak mempunyai, kita tidak social security system kita tidak begitu menyeluruh. Maknanya dia ramai orang yang masih terdedah kepada kehilangan pendapatan, terutama masa tua. Saya mention tadi, orang tua dia tak punya pendapatan. Jadi kita kena perbaiki social insurance kita, social assistance, dan social assistance dari segi cash transfer tadi kalau boleh jadi. Sebab kita melihat ini, kebanyakan orang melihat ni dari sudut welfare. Orang kata cash transfer ni welfare. Sebenarnya kalau kita lihat dari sudut social security, semua mekanisme ni, sama ada cash transfer, cash social insurance, social assistance, social insurance, semua ni adalah economics by itself. Is mana growth enhancing, mana ia boleh menjana pertumbuhan ekonomi. Bukan kita lihat di sudut orang kata bagi welfare. No, itu tanggapan yang silap. Sebenarnya itu boleh menjana pertumbuhan ekonomi. Bagaimana? Kena buat yang dengan cara yang betul lah. Itu yang kita perlu perbaiki. So, saya pengharapan saya lah, jadi banyak penumpuan diberikan kepada penambahbaikan social security structure di Malaysia lah.
Sebelum Dr. Aimin buat rumusan, maybe satu last. Bila bercakap macam tu, KWSP wajar atau tidak diadakan pengeluaran semula? Itu ramai sangat orang tanya.
Jadi itu saya nak jawab pun takut. orang nak keluarkan. Tapi kalau saya punya di perspektif, saya tengok perspektif social security tadi, tidak wajar dikeluarkan. Sebab itu memang kita dah disiplin kita. Ini adalah tabung untuk. Jadi kita jangan mudah sangat nak pecah tabung lah. So kalau orang yang tak mampu, minta maaf lah, maknanya kerajaan kena mencari mekanisme lain untuk membantu orang itu. Yang Kalau tidak, orang tu pecah tabung, dia pecah tabung dia sendiri. Dia mana dia pinjam di masa hadapan. Jadi bukan bantuan daripada kerajaan kan. So mana dia kita kena tengok sebalik isu itu lah. Okay.
How about you, Doctor? Maybe you can share with us your conclusion on the overall budget, your wish list, and what will be the growth sectors for 2023.
Your favorite recipe. I think first the budget. I think the budget is going to be a populist budget. It's going to be an expensive budget. Interesting to see how the fiscal policy going to be adopted by the government, synergize with the monetary policy of Bank Negara, because that will contribute to the growth of the country next year. And on the back of the global economy slowdown we expect next year. Yeah, I would not say recession. I would say slowdown next year. That is and for my wish list. I think already Doctor already spoke about that just now. Dr. Zul spoke there. I just want to add on. Yeah, of course the social system. We are all concerned about our people. Yeah, our rakyat. Yeah. Another thing is I want to see more things being done in the technology, in IT, digital economy, because without, actually it's a blessing we had the pandemic COVID-19, because we see the transformation, yeah, especially the SMEs, yeah, has been tremendous using, yeah, previously people don't care. Then we have a group called gig workers, yeah, those people, yeah, how a country can move, the only way a country can move faster is through technology. I want to see more being done, more money being spent, more connections, especially in the rural areas, maybe through satellite, through whatever, you know, so that things get. I want to see more infrastructure on that area. A lot of things can be done also on education. We paid so much for the last 2 years to work from home, teaching from home. Yeah. These are the things that we should explore more. Now we're coming back to campus. I now come back to campus to teach. You know, so these are the things. What we're gonna do with our Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, all these things, right? We should be using it. So I want to see more money being spent on technology, more money being spent on digital economy, grow it, especially young people, because this is the only way that can move the country can push the country to another level. All right. So to conclude, I hope whatever the budget outcome today, it will be good for everyone. It got to be passed by the parliament, and then we hope that the country will move forward, because we have a lot of challenges. We have the political challenges, we have the economy, domestic and global challenges. We have the people rising, facing rising cost of living, and so many things. So there's so many uncertainties. Unlike 10 years ago, there's so many things now which is uncertain. And the area that we're going on, nobody knows, in the future. We talk about 1988 recession, we talk about 2000, we talk about 2006, but this is totally, I would say, totally a new ball game.
Betul. Ini maknanya satu debaran, sebab kita pun semua pun berdebar. Nunggu pukul 4 ni ada bajet ke tak ke, sebab banyak kabar-kabar angin di luar sana yang entah tu. So kita masa dah mencemburui kita. So terima kasih sekali lagi kepada Dr. Aimi dan Dr. Zul kerana sudi bersama dengan kami pada hari ini, dan dengan jawapan dan juga conclusion tu tadi. So kita dah sampai ke penghujung. Mungkin Sharon, last word.
Well, that's all the time that we have for today's episode. On behalf of everyone, I would like to echo Zarin in extending a big thank you to your wonderful self, to our wonderful guests for spending your precious time with us. Thank you, Dr. Zul, Dr. Aimi, for sharing valuable insights on Budget 2023.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cerah sangat. Okey.
Yang bagi ya.
1